Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're going to talk more about some MUDBOY madness, because just like I stressed in my first video, I really believe it's important if you want to rise in the ranks and go Battle League. It's important for you to stick with one team and learn its ins and outs and just get better with it. In the first video, I showed you a lot of the strengths of MUDBOY madness, running that Skarmory team with Swampert and Whiscash in the back, and I showed you a nice 5-0 set. In today's video, I'm going to show you a 3-2 set where I highlight some of the weaknesses of MUDBOY Madness. Not all of them, but there are some important weaknesses we need to go over. So this first battle is against Al Murphy 10, and obviously I'm going to run this team the same way as I usually do. Right here we got a Skarmory on Meganium lead, which looks great at first sight, but it's really important to watch how he switches. I blind switch. I treat Swampert as if it's my safe switch, because the majority of the time people are bringing in Azumarill, and Whiscash does not have a good matchup against Azumarill. My best bet is to make sure I bring in my Swampert and I land one Sludge Wave. So we didn't really talk too much about movesets last time. You might have saw it in the video, but I run my Swampert with Hydro Cannon, Sludge Wave, not Earthquake. Because it's double MUDBOY, Whiscash is clearly in the back to deal with any Registeals I run into, so Swampert doesn't need to have that role as much. What I need Swampert for is to deal with Azumarill, because Skarmory has an alright matchup against it, Whiscash does not have a good matchup against it, and Azumarill is all over Great League, Go Battle League, so you need to be prepared. So the goal here, the objective, was to try and bait. I obviously didn't get any shields here, so that was a big issue, but I'm committing to it. He's got 2 shields out of me. I need to keep switch advantage. This is why I don't like winning lead sometimes, because when I win lead and they swap in first, their swapped in Pokemon is getting energy on me. Whereas when I lose lead, I get to bring in my Swampert and he gets to get energy, and then I get a chance at getting some sort of getting switch advantage back, essentially. So what they decided to do, which was interesting, was to swap out Azumarill and bring in Haunter. And Haunter with shields, I know from FP Sticks video, is a dangerous weapon, very dangerous. So worried here. I'm obviously worried that the Shadow Ball is going to come through. I'm surprised they threw a Shadow Punch. I guess they were pretty worried about my MUDBOY's Mud Bomb, Whiscash over here. So I'm just throwing them as fast as I can. I need to get rid of these Haunter's shields. So I'm just charging up the Mud Bombs as quick as possible, sending them right as I get them. And I'm pretty sure I get both shields here. And I'm like, alright, that's good. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got Haunter down pretty low based off the mud shots, so Whiscash did his job, he got both shields. I'm pretty sure I felt safe bringing in Swampert. Did I bring Swampert back into this? I don't remember. Let's wait. I waited out the switch timer. I did bring Swampert into it because I knew that Haunter had charged up energy farming down my Whiscash, so I need to bring in something with energy. I remember being worried about taking another charge move from Haunter. So I'm assuming Meganium's coming right back out. I swap in Skarmory as fast as I possibly can, and I know Azumarill's in the back, but I also know that Azumarill doesn't have a lot of health. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's see how long he keeps Meganium in here. I'm just going to get to the Sky Attack and throw it as quick as I possibly can. He keeps his Meganium in, which I find interesting. I guess it's mostly because of the fact that Azumarill was practically dead, and I'm pretty sure at this point he ends up quitting. I think he just realizes that Skarmory at full health really can't be beaten, by an Azumarill with barely any health. So right there, good win. I won lead. The important thing, it's super important with this team, is to keep switch advantage. That's what I worry about the most when I'm running double MUDBOYs. So even when I win lead, I need to make sure I keep switch advantage. So this next battle I have here is against the Doc 29. And I think this is also a battle I end up winning. But right now I have Skarmory on Azumarill lead. And the way I like to play this, because if he lands a Hydro Pump, I'm pretty screwed. I need to be very careful. And I don't want to take any chances. Also, I like to play this a certain way because I don't know if he has a Grass type in the back. So I can't let Skarmory commit to playing out this whole situation with Azumarill, because I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's a close matchup. I don't know who wins, if it's Skarmory or Azumarill. It might be dependent on landing the Hydro Pump. But regardless, I like to shield the first charge move, whether it's Ice Beam or Hydro Pump. Luckily here it's Hydro Pump, and I switch in Swampert immediately. And they decide to switch immediately, which I was like, alright, no problem. I don't have to worry about an Ice Beam coming from Azumarill. And he brings in Deoxys. So I'm happy, because I need to make sure I keep any type of switch advantage that I have here. So I just start firing off hydro cannons, and now I don't know what moveset is being run on this Deoxys. What is giving me a hint is that I've gotten 2 hydro cannons off already, and he's been just going for non-stop counters. Now, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily right, but usually when you go for a bunch of counters, it means you're going to throw Psycho Boost. And that's why I decide the shield. He throws Psycho Boost. The first Psycho Boost hurts a lot, but the issue with Psycho Boost is it lowers Deoxys' attack. So I don't mind taking a Psycho Boost after this one. They don't hurt anywhere near as much, and now even the counters are doing less damage. So you just got to be careful, because you also don't really want to shield the Rock Slide or Thunderbolt. Those are Deoxys' other moves, and they don't do any damage against Swampert. But you do need to look out for that Psycho Boost, and I'm guessing at that point he was like, you know what, no point in keeping Deoxys. Its attack is super low. So I'm like, alright, he brings in Azumarill. I know the Azumarill had like a little bit of energy after it threw that Hydro Pump, so I'm just going for any type of chip damage I can do. I'm throwing all my Hydro Cannons as quickly as I possibly can. He's going to commit to the farm down, I'm pretty sure. He does. And then my decision was, I remember really debating here, because Azumarill's almost dead, but it has energy. But I also knew that if he did have Hydro Pump, it wasn't going to one-shot my Skarmory. So I brought Skarmory back in. He throws his charge move. It ends up being Ice Beam. So I'm like, alright, that's fine. I would have farmed down. He brings in Marowak. At this point, it's GG. He has a shield, but he needs to land 2 Shadow Balls. And by the time he charges up 2 Shadow Balls, I'm going to toss a bunch of Mud Bombs. I'll probably end up tossing 3 Mud Bombs. So I'm off to a good start in this set. But unfortunately, it does take a bit of a turn for the worse as we continue with these matches. So right here, I'm just throwing the Mud Bombs, and we're just going to watch the rest of this play out, essentially. He shields the first one. I think he was still holding on to a glimpse of hope. I like to overcharge my Mud Bombs. I said this in the first video. I just like to always have energy stored on Whiscash, just in case there's a swap that's made, and I need to swap out. I want to always bring Whiscash back in with some energy. At this point, he goes for another charge move, and I got worried for a second, but I'm like, that's way too quick for it to be Shadow Ball. So I was like, alright, I'll sit here, I'll take whatever you throw. Ends up being Bone Club, doesn't do too much damage. I finish off his Marowak, and then I know Azumarill's coming in, and I knew my Skarmory still had some energy on it. So I go and I just swap it in, and let's just end this match. And I throw the Sky Attack right away, and that ends that match there. So that's the first 2 matches of the set. So far, off to a good start. This is game 3. I'm pretty sure this is where I take my first loss. I'm going up the trainer named Aravel 1, and in this matchup, what we're going to see here, it's a good question, I don't remember. Registeel. I usually like this lead. I don't remember if I lost this match or not. But I like to swap out my Swampert, because then it forces them to make a decision, and while they're still thinking about what they're going to bring in against my Swampert, I charge up a bunch of energy. And I charge up so much, I wasn't sure how close attention he was paying to how many quick moves I did. So I'm like, let's go for the Sludge Wave right away. My goal here is to land it. I land it. So far, so good. I could be wrong. Maybe I don't lose this match. I know I go 3-2 in this set. So, right here, I land the Sludge Wave. Everything's looking great so far. And he throws an Ice Beam. And Swampert essentially has already done its job. No matter what he does at this point, I'm going to commit to using both my shields if need be. But all I have to do is throw Hydro Cannons. I'll land the Hydro Cannon. He'll shield the Hydro Cannon. I will keep on getting to Hydro Cannons. And his Azumarill will get taken down. So, now my concern is, what is that third Pokemon? Because I'm getting Switch Advantage back, which means Whiscash is going to land on Registeel. In order to win this match, Skarmory needs to land on something it can beat. And that might end up being the thing that possibly costs me this match. Like I said, I don't remember off the top of my head. So now we're sitting here, we're waiting. We know Registeel could be coming back out, and at this point, I'm like, alright, Swampert, you've done your job. Even though you were close to a Hydro Cannon, you did everything I needed you to do. So he can Flash Cannon, he can Focus Blast, he can do whatever he needs to, and he can finish you off. And now, I'm sitting in a good situation. I got my Whiscash coming in, his Registeel's down a little bit of health, they just threw its energy, 1 shield apiece. So at this point, I'm just farming up. I think I realize halfway through over farming that I'm like, wait, he still has another Pokemon, so I don't want to over farm too much in case he swaps out. I might have won this match. So now I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for Flash Cannon or Focus Blast. Doesn't make a difference if he really baits me, because the energy difference between Flash Cannon and Focus Blast isn't that much where it'll make the biggest difference. Oh, and he ends up quitting. This was a match I was surprised about because I didn't even know his Pokemon in the back was, and he was already giving up. It must have been something super weak to Whiscash that had energy, possibly something like Haunter, something like Toxicroak. That's what a lot of people like to run in their teams of 3, like, with Azumarill and Registeel. And you see Azumarill and Registeel so much in the meta. And that's part of the reason why I like double Mudboy so much, and why I run my Swampert with Sludge Wave. Because if you ran with Earthquake, it does good damage, but Sludge Wave does more. And you need to land those Sludge Waves to win that matchup and keep any advantage you might have, or get an advantage back. So this next match is against Gazan BR. And again, I'm sitting here bringing Skarmory and waiting to see if I've won lead or not. And the lead really determines how I play out the matchup. And this is not a lead I see too often, which is Swampert. So I kind of have thought of a plan recently, because I've seen a couple more Swamperts more recently than usual. So I'm like, alright, I know one Hydro Cannon does about like a third to a half health. So I can tank one, and I know he'll get to 2, and I'll get to about 1.5 Sky Attacks. Because, again, I'm worried about there being a possible Grass type in the back. So I need to make sure my Skarmory leaves with energy. I can't just send a Sky Attack and dip. Then my Skarmory has no energy to then possibly go up against a Grass type. And if he's got something like Shiftry in the back, I want to throw a Sky Attack at that pretty quickly, because Shiftry charges up energy really fast. And will land those foul plays, and they start to add up. So in this case, I end up swapping in Swampert, and I was really hoping I can get the farm down in, and I just couldn't. I got so close, and he swaps out. So luckily, I was able to farm up a bunch of energy, but I'm still not exactly in the best situation, because Swampert is so low on health, and he has both his shields. So I throw a Hydro Cannon, I was able to bait it, but I'm so low health, I know that Azumarill can essentially farm me down. But I'm guessing he doesn't want to let me get to another charge move, so he throws his Ice Beam. And I'm like, I really want to bait, but I can't. Because if I bait, then I'm not getting to another charge move. So I go straight for the Sludge Wave, hoping that he just won't shield. And unfortunately, he does end up shielding. And I'm in such a poor position, essentially, because I just threw all that energy. He goes for the farm down, and I couldn't bait, because as you could see there, my Hydro Cannon didn't fill up. If my Hydro Cannon would have filled up, then that meant I would have had enough energy to essentially bait and then get to the Sludge Wave, but didn't work out. I bring in Skarmory. I know Azumarill has a bunch of energy because it farmed down Swampert, so I'm trying to send that Sky Attack as fast as possible. Skarmory comes in, I send the Sky Attack. It does a decent amount of damage considering how tanky Azumarill is, but not enough. And now I'm just waiting to see whatever charge move he throws, which is Ice Beam. And I know Ice Beam's not going to finish off Skarmory, but I don't want him to farm down my Skarmory and then end up hitting my Whiscash with a higher energy move like Hydro Pump or whatnot. So I'm farming up as much as I can on Whiscash, and now I'm just going to start throwing these Mud Bombs. I'm going to hope they can start to add up, and I'm going to hope that he has something in the back that Whiscash can essentially one-shot like Haunter. But right now, the Azumarill is going to send the charge move. It's going to be an Ice Beam. We get a little bit of lag here. But right after this, after I throw my charge move, we'll find out that I am not lucky enough to run into somebody running a Haunter Azumarill lead, or team. And he ends up throwing in his Registeel. So I'm like, alright, usually I love this matchup, but Whiscash has way too low a health now that Azumarill did so much damage to it. And I'm like, alright, I'm going to just throw as many Mud Bombs as possible and try and pull this one off. I think I also, since I had a little bit of health left on Skarmory, I was like, you know what, let me try and farm up Whiscash and then swap out. And you'll see me pull up the switch screen, and I don't know if it was just my fat fingers or if I missed the click or if I was just too late. I was probably too late on it. I think I tried the switch literally as it was coming through, and I just couldn't pull off the sacrificial swap. It's not an easy swap, but Skarmory did have enough health to start tanking some lock-ons if I would have pulled it off. But unfortunately I wasn't able to, and now this is completely GG's. He throws a Flash Cannon. I guess he's not taking any chances, even though I know Swampert's at like 1 HP, but Azumarill has plenty of health to finish off my Skarmory at 1 HP. And that ends up being my first loss of the set. And that was the big thing. I don't face a lot of Swampert leads, so now what I'm learning and taking away is it's a bit of a weakness, because even though Skarmory can beat Swampert, I can't assume that his other Pokemon are Azumarill and Registeel in the back. If I assume that and he has a grass type, the rest of my team is screwed. So I have to take Skarmory out at some point and make sure I hold it on the side for a possible grass type, and that's what ended up costing me the game. Now this last match is against JFat to JF, and I remember playing this guy last night, but I can't remember his team. We play so many different opponents. I'm wondering to myself, whenever I play somebody, like a night after another night, if they remember that I brought double Mudboys. I don't know how much that kind of team sticks out. I know it's like fairly popular, but I never run into anybody running it. I swear Niantic has an algorithm that they're running to like match up your team against either other teams that really counter you or match you up against teams that you really counter. Just like really mess with trainers. But anyhow, I'm running my Skarmory Azumarill matchup that I usually run. I've seen this matchup a bunch of times. I'm waiting for whatever charge move comes through, and then I'm going for the swap. He charged up enough for it to be a Hydro Pump. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and he threw a Play Rough, which had me upset that I shielded it. So now I bring in Swampert, and shortly after I charge up some energy, he decides to swap out Azumarill and bring in Altaria. I land the Sludge Wave there, and now I'm kind of in a bad situation. This is another Pokemon that I do not want to see. So this matchup has not started off great. He Play Rough baited me and got my shield, and now I have to face an Altaria. So I'm just trying to dump energy and get as much damage off as possible. I landed the Sludge Wave. I'm going for the Hydro Cannon now. I know that if I shielded and I went for another Sludge Wave, he just would have shielded it himself, and I really need to get this Altaria as low as possible. So he decides to tank that Hydro Cannon, which works out better for me because now I can go and essentially farm his Altaria down. But the Sky Attacks and the Dragon Breaths add up. Altaria's OP, and I don't really have a hard counter for him on my team. The only thing that really beats it in any possible situation is Whiscash, but I need him to not have shields, and he clearly has two. So I go for the farm down. I farm down his Altaria, luckily, but look, I went from green to like a red bar. The reason why I did that, though, is because if I would have thrown my energy, he probably wouldn't have shielded, and then Skarmory would have just had no energy against the Azumarill. So I got a bunch of energy. I have enough for 2 Sky Attacks, but unfortunately we CMP tie there, and I know it's another Play Rough. I'm upset I have to shield another resisted Play Rough, but I can't let Skarmory go down. I need to throw this Sky Attack. So I throw the Sky Attack. I'm pretty sure he doesn't shield because it's not going to take out Azumarill at this health. It'll get it in the red like it does, and I'm like, alright, he's going to farm down Skarmory. Gotta get Skarmory out of there and bring in Whiscash to try and farm down. I think that's what I attempted. Oh, I didn't. I tried to farm up a little extra energy. I didn't want to take a Hydro Pump to the face because I knew he was running Play Rough, and he didn't throw any Ice Beam, so that meant the other move had to be Hydro Pump. So I'm like, I don't want to take that to the face. But even then, he ends up bringing in Munchlax, and at this point he has 1 shield and a Munchlax, and I give mad respect to anybody running Munchlax on their team, but this game's over for me. I want to bait the shield and throw the Blizzard, but Munchlax is just so tanky, and I obviously don't have any like fighting types, so I'm not doing any super effective damage to it, and he's just licking me up, and he's overcharging, so I'm pretty sure at this point he has like 2 Body Slams charged up, because Body Slam's a cheap move, even though Lick doesn't really generate energy the quickest. So I throw my Mud Bomb, and essentially my thought process is, alright, I know he's pretty much got 2 Body Slams. Let me try and catch that other Body Slam. I swapped too early, though. I guess he must have had like 1 and like 3/4 full. And I didn't catch it. He licks down Skarmory, gets even more energy on his Munchlax, and this game's over. So I kind of misplayed that one. I mean, the sack swap's not exactly easy to pull off. The biggest issue here was going against somebody running Altaria on their team. But let's summarize for Mudboys. Weaknesses. Obviously, grass types seem like they'd be an obviously, they seem like they'd be a big weakness for Mudboys, but if you play it properly, it's really not. You can sacrifice one of the Mudboys and still take out a grass type and win a match. I've won many matches like that. The annoying Pokemon to really run into for this Mudboy team is Altaria and apparently Swampert, because you saw in my first loss, so that was a Swampert lead, and the reason why I'm such a big deal is because Swampert's so spammy, and I can't assume the moves of assume his other Pokemon that he has in the back. So as much as Skarmory could possibly win that matchup, I don't want to leave it in, because then if he has a grass type in the back, the rest of my team is screwed. So overall, those are some of the weaknesses. Obviously, this team has more weaknesses, but the matchups didn't really highlight any of them. It has a lot more strengths than weaknesses, obviously, which is why I'm super close to rank 10. And overall, tell me what you think of the team. I really enjoy using it. Hopefully, when I get to rank 10, I can start trying to test out other teams. I would love to take recommendations in the comment section. So if you have any ideas of some other good teams you want to see me test out and figure out the strengths and the weaknesses of, please let me know. I'm all for it. Overall, I appreciate you guys. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot to me. I'm really enjoying this Pokemon Go journey that I'm going on right now with these battles, and I'm working on just being the best Pogo PvP player I can be and the best YouTuber that I can be and mix it all together. So I hope you were able to take away some useful information for PvP based on this, and I'm going to try and do some Sylph battles next. There's a Voyager Cup, there's regionals coming up, so for those of you that know about Sylph, expect some videos from me on that also. Right now, just Go Battle League's a hot thing, and I really want to show off this team because of how strong it is. Either way, I'll catch you guys in the next episode.